Okay, so we are here today on Wednesday, November 25th. I'm
A month till
joined,
Christmas.
what's that?
A month till Christmas.
That's wow, yeah, exactly a month till Christmas. Happy holidays for everyone that's celebrating around the world and obviously here on campus with DC and OT. I'm joined by, do you want to be called Angie or is Angela
Angie,
better?
please. Yeah, Angie's
Angie?
great. Yeah.
So Angie Wood here, I'm a fitness coordinator with DCOT Campus Rec, and we're just kind of go through some tips, tricks, and helpful pointers for working out. Obviously, November is also known as Movember, so I'm sporting the stash here. And while Movember is focused on men's health, men's mental health, physical health, prostate and testicular cancer, we also want to kind of encourage everybody, man or woman, to be out there, get active, and just kind of, even during the winter, make sure that you're taking care of yourself and taking care of your body. So, Angie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So just tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started into some of these questions.
Yeah, sure. So as you mentioned, I am the fitness coordinator for the Department of Athletics for the college and university, and I love my job. I always brag that somebody's going to hate me one day, but it's probably one of the best jobs on campus because I feel people come to the Flex because they want to. So if you're new to campus, the Flex is the fitness training facility on campus. So we're about 10,000 square feet of treadmills and cardio equipment and resistance equipment and that kind of stuff. So like I said, generally people are here, they're in a good mood, they're here because they want to be, they're trying to get active, stay active, whatever it is. So yeah, and my job is so different that every day really is different. I get to do stuff like this very often. I get to be on, so this morning I was on a healthy workplace committee meeting for the university. And so I get to interact with all different people across different departments across campus. Obviously, just saying to my colleagues on our meeting before this that it's so nice being back at the Flex too, to be with students. So I'm working with the students that work at the gym all the time, students and staff that are using the gym. So yeah, it's just nice to be in an atmosphere with lots of energy and music, and yeah, it's a great job for sure. So yeah.
Yeah, and people, like, when they go to the Flex, like you mentioned, like, they want to be there. So there's a positive environment and they want to see change, change in themselves. They want to improve and just constantly continue growing, making themselves a better person, a healthier person overall in general. And the Flex Center is open not to just the equipment, but also activities as well.
For sure, yeah. So we just opened again on October 26th. So we've had some changes in how many people we can have now that we're in that red zone. But hopefully once we're back in the new year, that will change as well. So right now we have bookings 5 times a day for an hour or 60 minutes per time slot. So from 11 o'clock, and then our last booking is from 5 till 6. There is, as you said, also open gym time, so students can see what's available. So it could be basketball, volleyball, table tennis, pickleball, badminton's been a really big one so far since we've been back. There's ladder ball there as well. And the track is open as well. So there's a 2-lane now because we've taken the middle lane out due to the pandemic, but a 2-lane indoor track as well. So if people are runners and they're looking to get inside after being, it's getting colder now, or a bit icy, so good chance for them to bring their walking or running indoors as well.
Cool. So it sounds like there's a lot to offer, whether you want to be working out or whether you just want to be active and get doing something. When it comes to something like basketball or badminton, do you need to would I need to bring my own basketball, or would they be provided, or how does that work?
Yeah, no, everything's provided here. So they have a station where you can get equipment from, and then return it to a different station. It gets sanitized before it gets put back out for other people to use. So yeah, when we say basketball, there's not like 13 people playing at hoops like they used to. We keep saying the olden days, back in the days were the way they used to be. But yeah, that's why they've chosen the sports that they have and the activities that they have, because you can still maintain distance while you're playing badminton or even table tennis or those kinds of things. I find most people that are coming, I'm assuming, are their roommates. They're together anyway. They're in the same bubble. So it's just nice to feel. It just makes me, and even being back to work and being in my office after being off for 6 or 7 months, there's some semblance of normalcy too. So I know some students and staff are nervous to come on campus, because COVID is still around. But we really are. I had one of my meetings this morning, somebody from the task force that kind of allowed us to reopen, and our plan had to go to the region of health, those kinds of things. They said your processes are, they're impeccable. You're doing everything that we need to be doing. So we bought an electrostatic sprayer so things get cleaned, in a way that, the Toronto Maple Leafs dressing room gets cleaned.
Yeah.
So we really have gone to that. It's kind of been, not that we're sparing no expense, but we really do want this to be a safe place for people to come. So I invite people to come and check it out. If you don't feel comfortable, that's fine. Nobody's going to force you to come, obviously, but it might be a sense of, oh, this feels kind of normal to be around people, but still, we're obviously maintaining our distancing still. But it's been a nice positive change for me. And I know, speaking to the people that are using the facility, be it the track, open gym time, or the flex, it's been a positive reintroduction to them to they're stiff and they're sore because they haven't worked out in a while, but they're quite happy that we're open as well, which is nice. So it's been kind of a win-win for everybody, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's important too. Like, obviously, we've been going through this pandemic since middle of March, April. And now here we are again, late November. So it's important, obviously, throughout the summer it was closed, but I think it's important to kind of give people this opportunity to exercise and to get out and to, get their mental health right, as well as their physical health. So when it comes to going to the gym, whether you're playing basketball, badminton, or you're actually using the equipment, what are the policies around the mask wearing?
So you would book a time, you would show either your DC or your Ontario Tech kind of pass that you can be on campus, and then you come in with your mask on. The change rooms are closed right now, washrooms are open. So we ask that you wear your mask as soon as you enter campus, and then once you are actually physically active, you can remove your mask. I'm finding lots of people are keeping their masks on, and I've actually read 2 studies in the last 2 days that have said, there isn't a whole lot of impediment, barrier to wearing a mask and working out. So if people feel more comfortable wearing their mask, obviously they can, unless you're doing some kind of super intense workout and you have an N95 mask on, you might find that challenging. But for the mask that most of us are wearing, people seem to be really still wearing their masks while they're here, but we don't ask that they have. We would say that they have to, but we would invite them to do what they're comfortable with. But then when you're, having a rest period, if you're walking to put your dumbbells away, whatever that looks like, we'd ask that you wear your mask anytime that you're not engaged in physical activity.
Now, because we had mentioned that, some people might not feel comfortable in going to the gym or coming to the facility to play basketball or whatever, is there a way for, a student on campus, on residence, to view the sessions or different classes that you may offer at the Flex Center?
Yeah, sure. Before I jump in there, and remind me if I get sidetracked, that one thing I wanted to bring to people's attention is that this is a great time to come to the gym if you can get in on one of those bookings. When there's a lot of times when people are nervous about coming to the gym outside of COVID times, what we hear a ton of so many times is that they're nervous about people watching them. Well, right now we're in a 10,000 square foot facility where there are 10 people here. So if you can get in and just kind of, if you're comfortable, with the pandemic around, but getting in and just kind of trying it, what a marvelous time. It's almost like you have the gym pretty much to yourself.
Yeah.
I'm here, staff is here. So it really is a nice time to try out the gym for sure. Same goes for the track. Same goes for open gym time. We're not, open gym time in the track, especially during the day, it's available and it is fairly quiet. So keeping that in mind especially as we head into exam time, when we know as soon as students are done classes and or exams, some of them will be heading home. I think we'll start to get even quieter. So just an invitation to those who maybe haven't tried the gym before, that we are here. We're here to answer questions. If you don't know what you're doing, I'm providing an orientation to a student who's never used the gym next week. So we're happy to help you out so that you really feel that we're a comfortable space to be. One of the signs that we have in the gym, it says "You belong here," and I really feel that, and I feel that strongly. That's a message that we want to send. We spend a lot of time with students on the student staff that work here on customer service, and how intimidating we know the gym can be for some people. So really kind of breaking down those barriers and kind of stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit. If you were able to kind of come and visit us and see what we're all about and see what it's like, especially while it's quiet, I think it's a great opportunity for people to kind of dip their toe in the water for the first time. And I told you need to remind me of your question, because now I've gone off on that tangent and forgotten.
So I do remember the question, but I do just want to put in a thing, it is kind of intimidating to go to the gym, but everyone's there for one common goal, and it's just to, better themselves, get something change something within themselves, whether it's their mental or their physical. So yes, while it can be intimidating, everybody has this one common goal, and there's a great, staff of yourself, student staff, that are there to help and there to give any tips and pointers when needed.
Yeah, and I remember, I won't get it exactly right, but I remember hearing one quote that said, you wouldn't worry as much what people thought about you if you realize just how little they actually do.
Yeah.
As you said, people have got their earbuds in, they're doing their own workout, they're in their own zone, and they may see you, they may not see you, they may acknowledge you, they may not acknowledge you, and it's not out of, being rude. It's just people are here, and especially while there's a 60-minute time limit, they're here, they want to get their workout in, and they want to get out. So it really is, maybe opportune is not the right word, but it's a good time to try it. As we said, kind of dipping your toe in the water and see how you feel.
So back to the question that we went off of. If there's somebody that still doesn't feel comfortable, or maybe they want to go to the gym but they don't have somebody to go with, is there a way for them to maybe partake in the sessions that you guys are offering or learn from you guys while staying at home?
Sure. So we don't have training per se right now, but hopefully that will be something that we see when we come back in the new year. But there definitely is, students have access to virtual fitness classes. So there's a variety of, there's belly dance. I've done a couple of mindfulness sessions, like a guided meditation,
Cool.
body scan. There's yoga, there's Pilates, there's a bar. And I can send you the link for those if you want to include them as well.
For sure.
So that we'll have the students will have access to that as well. There's Strava clubs that have been started at DC and OT as well. So DC OT Campus Rec on Strava. So that's a free, if you're familiar with Strava, it's a free app that you can kind of record, this is how far I've walked, and this is how fast I've walked or ran or cycled or whatever it is that you do. So we're connecting with students that way. Lots of connection, like trivia nights are tomorrow night. So one of our students staff runs those every week. So it could be about friends, it could be about the office, it could be about tons of things, not just TV shows. Social media is probably a great way to connect with us, to see what we're up to. We just talked about it today. Actually, we're launching something not as activity related, but a share your story. So we're inviting students, staff, and faculty to, we realize it's been a challenging year for so many people, but we also realize there's so many stories of overcoming adversity this year. So inviting students to share with us kind of those testimonials about what's, how was 2020 for you, and what did you overcome, and how did you do it, and what have you learned? And I think it's a great time of year for those kinds of stories to come out. I think we all need a little bit of hope and inspiration. So there's all kinds of things like that going on. So I would really invite students to connect with us on social media to kind of learn how they can learn more, about what's going on here, but how we can also stay engaged with you while you're at home, or if you're going home for the holidays or whatever. So yeah, we'd love to have more contacts that way as well.
100%. So we do have a question from the audience here. Brett, go ahead. I saw your hand was raised.
Now, are students able to book their times via the website, or is it strictly just the app where they manage their times?
They can do either. Yep, so they can do it through the app. I find most students are using the app, but you can do it through the website as well, for sure. I've got on just to test it that way, and it works both ways. So yeah. So I would remind people, thanks Brett for bringing that up. While people are, especially right now, we're at 10 people per booking, so there's 50 people coming in and out of the Flex every day as users. Just to keep checking back, because I know it's hard to get a booking when there's only 10 spots available for each session, but keep checking back, because if Brett had a time slot that he booked for and then realized, oh shoot, my boss just called me into a meeting, now I can't make that time slot. People are giving up their time slots as well when they realize they can't make it. So even though you looked and it's booked, don't not check for a week. Check back and say, hey, you know what, I still have time tomorrow. I'm going to keep going back. I know it's not the best use of people's time, but unfortunately this is just where we are right now. But keep checking back, because there are cancellations. So one of the sessions we had today, 2 people canceled kind of just before, which is unfortunate, but at least they canceled to open up those spots for other people. So keep checking back and be a bit persistent with it, because as we said, we're this way until December 21st. We're going to be open until the 23rd.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll see what comes on the 21st, with restrictions, and maybe we're going back to 30, which is where we were when we started. So I know lots of students aren't around, but we're really hopeful that when we come back in January, we'll be not only to those 30 visits per session, but also going back to 90 minutes per session, because some people are 60 minutes is just too short. And then I think we're also limiting people, if you had a class till 11, but you have another class at 1, then I can still get here by quarter after 11 and still have a 60-minute workout. People don't have to prescribe. People are coming at this hour exactly at this time, whereas if they have 90 minutes, you got a little bit more wiggle room there.
For sure. So I do have a few questions just from some students that put them in. So we'll start off with this first one. I'm new to the gym. Is there anything that maybe I should start with first? Is there a certain exercise or a certain body part I should start with first?
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because I was talking about this with somebody else a little while ago. I think when people walk into the gym, they just sometimes just see a massive equipment. And really, we spend a lot of time and we do a lot of planning deciding what's going to go where. So we made a conscious decision when we made our, for the last 2 times we've done a changeover of our equipment, where as soon as you walk in the front door, which is, or the entrance, which is right where the flex desk is, and my office is right here, kind of alongside that as well. We have 9 machines that are kind of a total body workout. So if you're new and say, I don't know where to begin, then as soon as you walk in, you'll see machines numbered 1 through 9, and that's a full body workout minus lower back. That's one thing that's missing. But people can just step into the gym, have a warm up, whatever they want. Maybe they do that in the stretching area. Maybe they hop on a piece of cardio equipment. Maybe they grab, in the olden days, they could have grabbed a foam roller, but now you need to bring your own. But yeah, you can hop in just to that. As soon as you step inside the flex, you can see that there's 9 machines there for resistance training workout. And we did that strategically so that it was really close to both my office and the flex monitor. So people do have questions and are not sure what to do. If you really, this gym scene is not your scene, then you have hardly stepped into our facility and you can do the workout in this one little corner and that's it. So I think that's something for people to know. You and I were talking about it before we started recording as well, that there's so many great resources out there as well. So using some of those resources, I think people might feel better if they come in with a bit of a plan. So rather than coming in and seeing 100 pieces of equipment saying, oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start, kind of create a plan. Maybe talk to somebody who has worked out before, have them help you make a plan. Like I said, those 9 machines that are here, if you add low back exercise to that, then you've got a nice workout there as well. You need to do kind of whatever you want to do for cardio, your stretch at the end, those kinds of things. But yeah, there's definitely tons of resources. And like I said, I'm meeting a student next week who hasn't been here before, so we'll do an orientation. I'll kind of give her the lowdown. For resistance stuff, we only have a couple of different pieces of equipment. Like we usually stick with a similar manufacturer. So as soon as you learn one, you kind of know, oh yeah, I know if this is red, it's something I can change or move. So this must mean I'm going to be able to move this seat forward or back or up or down or whatever. So once you get onto a few pieces, I think you'll find there's a lot of similarity to each piece. So that's really helpful too. And as you mentioned earlier, just kind of stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit. And don't be afraid to ask questions. That's what we're here for. I think people are worried about they're kind of then seen as, oh my gosh, I should know what I'm doing, but I don't. You're not self-disclosing anything. We're probably looking at you saying, I'm going to go over and see if Tobias wants a little bit of help because he's looking a little bit lost there. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You might as well learn how to use it properly the first time, either then get injured or not use it properly, maybe not target the muscle you're supposed to be targeting. And the other reason that I would suggest that people do a little bit of kind of research before they come, especially if they're new. I find a lot of people work body parts that they can see. So I want to have nice pecs and I want my abs to be nice and tight, and like we're going to work my biceps. The things that we can see, we often work out a lot, but then we know that our biceps are only as strong as our opposing muscle groups. If I can't just do all abs and then not do anything for low back and have a strong core and healthy core. So I think it's important to think about the balance of your workout as well, which is why it's helpful to talk to somebody who knows what they're doing, do a little bit of research, have a mentor, come in with somebody else who can work out with you and kind of give you some pointers.
When it comes to, you mentioned you have an orientation next week. When it comes to setting up an orientation, is there a way or how would be the proper way for someone to set that up?
People can just come in and ask us. Generally, there's enough of us here that we are able to provide that. If we're not, it would be kind of anomalous, especially right now while it's so quiet that we couldn't help people out. But again, kind of during our normal times, we provide orientations at the beginning of each semester because we know people are coming to us for the first time. We could be the first gym they've ever been to if they're having a gym membership for the first time. So we're really cognizant of that fact that we don't want to just throw people into the deep end and say, yeah, good luck, hope you make out okay. We really are here to help, which kind of goes back to me saying we really do have a customer service focus. So we want people to be here and be comfortable being here. So having some knowledge supports that as well.
So we briefly touched on stretching as well. So obviously it's very important before you work out to do some stretching. Is there a certain amount of time that people should be focusing their stretching routine, or is it just kind of go through every single part of your body?
I think it kind of depends on a number of things, and it brings me back to when I teach in the fitness and health promotion program. Sometimes students, they just, tell me, what do I need to do? Give me the black and white answer. And oftentimes it's really very gray, and this will be kind of like one of those gray answers too. It really depends, what's your workout going to look like? How old are you? So we know people that are more mature need a longer workout than people who are, they're Olympic athletes. They might not need the warm up that they had to do walk here, had to do just get out of your car. So there's all kinds of things that are going to impact that. But I would say, yeah, for most people, it's just having a general warm up. So whether that be that you're doing some arm swings, you're doing some leg swings, you're hopping on a piece of equipment, you're doing light reps and sets of like what body parts you're going to be using throughout your workout, it really can can be very different things. So this may be a good time for me too to introduce people to, if they haven't been on it already, probably near the very beginning of the pandemic, we started a Campus Rec resource library. So I can send you the link to that as well. Mm-hmm. And in the Campus Rec resource library, you'll find a heading called Exercises and Workouts. And one of the things that I posted there, I would say within the last couple of weeks, were some really dynamic and different, unique workouts. So if you're like, oh, I hate my warm-up, then change it. Do something that you enjoy doing versus it's going to prevent you from coming to do your whole workout because you don't enjoy what you do for a warm-up. So that resource library would be really helpful, not only to people who don't know what they're doing, but people who also want to change it up a little bit. So when it comes back to warming up, definitely doing something dynamic. I know foam rolling, a lot of people like that before they start their workout. And just finding, as we just said, what works for you. I always kind of say that as a personal trainer, if you came to me, Tobias, and said, can you make me a program? Yeah, tell me what are your likes, dislikes, kind of we figure out where you are in terms of your status, where you're starting at for fitness. And, if you said, well, I just don't like the treadmill, and then I make a program for you. And I'm like, okay, I want you to be on the treadmill at least 2 hours every week. And then you're like, what is going on? I really want to encourage people to do what they enjoy doing as well, because that's going to, one of the barriers that people don't, time is a barrier for sure, people not working out, but just you're not having enjoyment. If you have to come to the gym and you have to have a workout, then it's just another chore that you have to do. So 100%. Can you change your workout? Maybe you never even come to the flex. Maybe you only use open gym time and you use Strava and you use the indoor track, or you do yoga, or you do a Pilates class online. You might never visit a fitness facility, but you can still be in amazing shape. So I'd like people to think about that too. Sometimes we get kind of stuck in a rut of thinking, oh, well, all my friends work out, I have to go to the gym. You might never step foot in the gym, as we said. You might enjoy gardening. You might enjoy walking your dog at a quick pace to get your heart rate up. Like, it doesn't have to be the gym all the time. So just having an open mind about what physical activity looks like. And I know I'm sitting here in my office in the fitness facility, but not that that's the end all and be all for sure either. So just allowing people the permission to do what they want to do, what they find enjoyable, especially right now. What's going to bring some joy to your life? If I said, Tobias and I were also talking about some TV shows and stuff before. How many times do you have to say, I want you to sit down and watch your favorite TV show? You're like, you don't have to tell me, I want to do that. So can you find some kind of physical activity that you want to do enough that it's not a chore? You flip that switch from I have to do this, that like I can't wait till this meeting is done and I get to go home and walk my dog or whatever that is.
Yeah, I just honestly kind of going off that, like we were talking pre-recording, I was mentioning that I just recently purchased some resistance bands. So the start of the pandemic, I've got in my room here, I also live on residence in campus. But I only had a couple dumbbells. I had, a few like different exercise equipment that I could use, but I never really was able to expand my workout and what I could do, through my whole workout. I could really only focus on the chest, the shoulders, and the arms. So I thought, I recently purchased these resistance bands, and really it kind of expands what you can do. So very cheap. I mean, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but can't be anything more than, $30, $40. It's on Amazon. I'm sure you can find different options for buying it. But, if you don't want to go to the gym and, you want to continue to be physically active, maybe getting something like that would definitely help you out, because it allows you to still do something like watching your favorite show, like watching SVU, and also doing some resistance band workouts as well.
For sure. And it's funny because I like having these conversations, and I'm glad that we're doing this as well. Because I think when something's on your radar, you seem to see it more. So now that you've seen resistance bands, you might go to Winners and say, oh my gosh, I didn't know that Winners sold resistance bands. Well, yeah, they do. And then you see a news article about, hey, here are the best resistance band exercises. Like, I think when you your radar gets honed into different things depending on kind of where you are in life. So I think the more that you can kind of keep that conversation of physical activity, and you'll find more options, and you'll probably find now you'll look up some resources, you'll see more resistance band, you'll talk to other people who have resistance band workouts, and you'll share workouts, and it'll just kind of expand your repertoire of what you can do with those bands as well.
Yeah, for sure. Now, when it comes to physical activity, whether it's working out or, it's going for a quick jog, how many times a week would you recommend doing this? How many times a week would you recommend working out, whether, it be lifting weights, or just casually walking, getting active?
Yes, the physical activity guidelines in Canada tell us that we should be active, moderately to vigorously physically active 150 minutes a week. So we're looking at about 20 minutes of activity a week or a day each week. And again, if you come to open gym time and you're playing volleyball and you're working up a sweat, you can feel your heart pumping, your respiration rate's probably up there as well. That counts as physical activity. As we said, if you're gardening and you're up and down, you're carrying soil up from the front yard to the backyard and doing all that stuff, that counts as physical activity. So
don't tell my mom that. She'll be getting me gardening all the time.
It is a great workout. Oh my gosh, talk to anybody who's landscaped in the summer. And
fair enough, yeah.
Absolutely. But I also would encourage people to not let that seem daunting either. So again, as we just said, we're entering this time where everything's wrapping up. Deadlines are, we've got competing priorities with deadlines and exams and all that kind of stuff. So don't let that be like, I can never achieve that, so I'm not going to bother. Can you set a goal where, I'm going to do 5 minutes of stretching this morning, even before I get out of bed. So that's one of the other resources on the Campus Rec Resource Library is what can I do even in bed before I get up to see if I can kind of kickstart myself, kickstart my day. Start with a small goal. That 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity, that's a great goal. But if you're starting from zero, then again, we don't want to throw out, what's that saying, throw out the bath with bathwater or whatever. Landscaping is an all-day workout. So kind of going back to giving yourself permission. So give yourself permission to start slowly. We also don't want to jump in, be a weekend warrior where you're killing yourself. Every muscle is sore. You can hardly climb stairs or use the toilet because you're so stiff and you can't do anything. That's not helpful either. So it's kind of finding that balance of what's manageable for me to do and what's going to be too much, and where's that middle ground that I can manage my life still and also incorporate physical activity.
And there's still workouts, if you, again, don't feel comfortable coming to the gym and you don't maybe have equipment or the means to get the equipment in your personal suite, at your house, whatever it be, there are definitely still exercises and workouts that you can do without equipment, right?
Oh, absolutely. Tons of body weight. And that's been one of probably the biggest jumps in physical activity during the pandemic because people couldn't get equipment. So there was a time when buying those resistance bands during the pandemic would have been super challenging. There was just an article that came out from one of our vendors about, what are we doing in this time when equipment is so hard to get? If you can find equipment that you think you'll use and it's fairly inexpensive, I would go for it. Because I think this will continue for a little while longer, that we're going to need some stuff. And Christmas is around the corner, so if you celebrate Christmas and haven't given Santa your list yet, maybe that's something that you add to it. Body weight workouts can be amazing. And I think this is a great time for people to step back and say, my body needs to move. How can I do that? You can have no equipment at all. Picture jumping jacks, burpees, high knees. It doesn't have to be that intense, but you can have a killer workout without any equipment at all. So I think, encouraging people to do those body weight kinds of things and things that are functional. So I think what I posted today on the Campus Rec Resource Library was about, what movements do I do during the day and what movements am I doing frequently? Am I doing those movements well and honing in on what does my squat really look like? I know I can do, a squat with 200 pounds on my back, but is my form really great? And kind of taking it back to the basics so we can, again, building a strong foundation. So once we get back into the gym, if you haven't been back yet, then you've got a great foundation to start to add some more weight to that, to add some load to those movements that you're doing.
For sure. A personal story for myself, my dad is, the past 2 years, he's been retired. So he's not, and he used to do manual labor, doing a lot of lifting during the day. And obviously he's not really doing that anymore. So he hasn't been as physically active. And my parents bought a treadmill, but I make a joke with them because every time I go home to visit them, it's got dust on it. Yeah, exactly. And it's got laundry on. I'm like, what's the point of this? You could have just bought a line or whatever. And so for my dad's birthday in August, we ended up getting him a gym membership with a personal trainer back in our hometown. And the hardest thing, and I kept saying to him, the hardest thing about working out is getting started. You know, no one wants to start, no one wants to go through the physical activity, but you know, I promise you, once you get started, you'll feel better. Your knees won't hurt. You know, you'll sleep better. And he's been on, you know, a bit of a diet and working out I think every third day or something like that. And he's noticed changes. You know, I always ask him, "How are your knees doing?" "Oh, I haven't realized." You know, so getting started is the hardest part, but you just got to get there for sure.
Yeah. It's funny because I think about a researcher from the university who is doing some research with clinically depressed patients. And she said, if we think it's hard for us to get here, how hard is it for somebody who's clinically depressed to get to the gym? And she said, if I could only come up with a pill that would just get people here and get them started, like the whole world would be changed. But as you said, you hit the nail on the head that is the hardest part. So I always invite people to, I wrote a gen ed course for Durham College as well, and taught it for a number of years, and it's called Finding Your Fit. And again, it kind of comes back to, you know, don't force yourself to do something you don't love. Find what you do enjoy doing so that you will do that. I kind of lost my train of thought there, but kind of coming back to what you were saying, you know, do something you enjoy doing. I often think when you talk about your dad, I'll speak a bit about my mom, who she would be honest that she doesn't like physical activity at all, but she does it because, you know, she feels better, she staves off weight, so she's, you know, maintaining a healthy balanced kind of body composition, those kinds of things. But it is hard when you don't enjoy exercise, and that's why I would invite people to try to find something that you do enjoy doing so that it's not so much of a chore. And then can you also find people to do it with? So I bet your dad would go, if you were to say, hey dad, let's go, he would go every day that you were going. Or maybe you enjoy group fitness classes, but you need a buddy to go with you. So my sister and I used to go often. It was Saturday mornings. We would do 2 classes, and then we would do our grocery shopping together. And that was kind of our time together every week, was to kind of, you know, we were side by side in this group fitness class. We didn't talk to each other, but if she wasn't going, there was lots of times I would say, oh, Lindsay can't go today, so I'm just not going to go today. So having a buddy to do something with is so helpful as well. So, and the other thing, if you're depending on kind of what your situation is, tell somebody. So tell your residence advisor, tell your parents, tell your kids, tell your best friend, you know what, I really want to be active 3 times a week just for 10 minutes each time, and then have somebody to hold you accountable. Maybe you have a reward for what you do. You know, I'm going to buy, so for me during the pandemic, one of the things that I was doing was buying some new music to kind of reinvigorate my workouts. So I'm probably old fashioned, but I still buy all my music on iTunes. So, you know, I allow myself to buy, you know, some new music to keep my workouts really fresh. That's kind of a reward for, you're sticking to it. So here's some new music for you to listen to. So, and music, I can't say enough about either. Really can revolutionize a workout. Create a favorite playlist of things that you love, things that kind of pump you up, and how great of a workout can you have with that music, which is why so many people here, you come in, you say good morning or good afternoon, and they walk right past you because they're already listening to their music. So
now, what's your top song on your workout playlist? What's your go-to startup track?
Do you know what? This is kind of sad, but I'm a binge music person where I will listen to something like I'll repeat, and then I'm like, oh my gosh,
I hate this song. Yeah.
I know, and I will always come back to it, but I love everything. Like I don't think I have one right now, but I know when I don't even know I don't own anything by the Jonas Brothers, but I love that song, What a Man Gotta Do. I played that in my basement while I was either on my swim bike or working out. There's something about that song that I just love, but I could give me some great country, and I love that. Give me some great like R&B, give me some great pop. Like as long as it's got a good beat and it kind of resonates with me, then I'm all over it.
Yeah, for me, it's either, you know, it's got to have the percussions, it's got to have the drums. So it's either some rock or some rap. My go-to is usually in rock, Imagine Dragons. I don't know if you know them. And then in rap, I think it's probably Meek Mill. Again, just kind of gives you a hype or a pump-up song. One of my best buddies, and he's not even Spanish, so I don't get this, but he listens to like this like romantic ballroom Spanish music when he works there. It's so weird. I don't understand it, but it works for him. So I mean, more power to you.
Yeah. So I would say there's some some music that just, like you said, the percussion really rings true with me as well. And sometimes it's also the message. So I know when you said Imagine Dragons, I think about that too. Like there's some of those they're definitely kind of rockish, but they're also slow. So they make great hill climbs for a spin class, for example. And so I think, that resonates with me as well. But it's interesting what people probably do listen to.
So when it comes to, a first timer working out, or if you're just kind of going through your first week or 2 weeks, and you're getting a little sore, what would you recommend doing, for people in that first week, that first 2 week period when they're sore and maybe they're like, I don't really want to work out. I feel sore. Maybe I did things wrong.
Yeah. So I think recognizing that you probably will feel sore. So think of how you feel if you're helping a friend move. The next day you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so stiff. That is normal. And it is funny, if you're somebody that's worked out for a while, you're like, of course you're gonna be sore. Like that's just normal. But to some people who haven't worked out, they're like, what is this feeling? Like I'm going to the doctor, there's something wrong with me. So just realizing that it has happened, that is normal for sure. So I'd look at, I'm a believer that you shouldn't be coming back to the gym feeling worse than you did before your last workout. So if you haven't recovered and you're going to work that same body part again, it's probably not time to. So making sure that you feel recovered after a workout, having enough time stretching either kind of dynamically beforehand, warming up beforehand, cooling down after. Find people come in and just have a great workout and then leave. Like, and I'm always like, oh, that's the dessert of your workout is that time that you get to stretch and kind of just be mindless. Like you get to lie on a mat and stretch your quads or your hamstrings or your glutes or whatever it is. And to me, that's kind of the reward. That's what I've been working for, is to have that time to let my brain cool down. So just realizing that it is kind of normal. We hear often like delayed onset muscle soreness. For me, if I'm doing something, I like that feeling when I'm sore because I know that I've done enough to incite some change in my muscle. But for me, if I was to have a great workout today, it wouldn't be till Friday that I would really feel kind of that change. So don't be afraid of that either. If it's like, I didn't work out yesterday, why am I so sore? It could just be that delayed onset of muscle soreness as well, which lots of us have. So doing something relaxing, going for a massage, that could be one of those rewards we were talking about. Having an Epsom salt bath, those kinds of things are helpful too.
And they do offer massages on campus as well, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So they've been open since July, I think. So, and if people aren't familiar with Fit for Sport, is the contractor that's downstairs for acupuncture, physio, chiropractic. So they do ultrasound, IFC, all those kinds of things. So if you're looking for someplace to go for that kind of stuff, if you're doing almost everybody is now doing things virtually. You've got a sore upper back, sore lower back, but great spot to go on campus. I believe, and don't quote me on this, but I believe for massage you need, and she's amazing. She's actually, her name's Alucci, and she is a registered athletic therapist as well as massage therapist. So I know I was saying to Tobias, I've had shoulder surgery this fall, and that has been one of the best things for me. But and because of her expertise, she'll do mobilizations as well as the typical massage stuff, active release, that kind of stuff. So I can't say enough about the services down there. They've gotten me through kind of all of my rehab this fall. So it's amazing care. For sure.
Now, one thing that you often see whenever you're, starting your workout or, at the gym or after the workout, you'll see people walking around with shaker cups. What's that? Is there water? is there protein? And what does that really do for you? What's the protein or the pre-workout? How does that benefit you?
I don't know. Brett might have to jump in here, and he might totally disagree with me. I'd invite you too, Brett. But my own personal opinion is that for most people, unless you're doing something super intense for over an hour and a half, we don't need extra protein. We don't need extra stuff. If we're an everyday person living an everyday life, we're eating a balanced diet, then we don't need that extra stuff. And one of my fears is, maybe I'm just because of my age, maybe a bit more holistic than I would have been if I was 18. But I fear when I see all these people with their shaker bottles and this and that and their pre and their post and their amino this and I don't know, and just all the supplements. And we have lots of people ask us from companies, can we come in and do a demo for your students? And I'm just not a big fan because I just don't. I don't know. Part of me kind of wonders, 10 years from now, are we going to have a generation on dialysis because we don't know what all these products are? Are people really researching what they are? And if it's not natural, how is our body processing it? Or is our body processing it? Are we storing all this stuff that our body's saying, I don't know how to assimilate this yet, so I'm just going to hang on to it until I know what to do with it. Like I don't know enough about it, but just I have a friend who's a nutritionist, so we have these conversations a lot. And I just think our bodies we're meant to consume real food. We're meant to consume a variety of food. I love the new Canada's food guide, which is, really showing a lot of different types of food, and your plate should mostly be those leafy green vegetables or vegetables of some sort. And I think that they've done a nice job with that. So again, I think I'm going to show my age here by saying that, I'm not a fan. But I know it happens whether I like it or not. But I would just caution people to, talk to somebody in the know about it. really research what it is that you're putting into your body. Is it a whole food? Have they extracted and taken stuff away and then added stuff in? And as much as you can eat, kind of food in its natural state is what I would encourage people to do. And from most people, as we said, aren't working out enough that they need to be supplementing all the protein that we're adding in our diet. And again, if it's not a natural source of protein, do we know that our body is using it anyway? So I don't.
Moving on. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go for it. No, go for it.
Moving on, because you had touched about, the foods and obviously your opinion on, water versus protein and pre and whatnot. What's your opinion on all these different diets? Obviously, there's a million different diets in the world. You got keto and you got the Atkins and you got all these different ones. What's your opinion on that? And how should someone, if they're starting to work out for the first time, how should they approach changing their diet and consuming each day?
So I think, as I said, one of my friends is a nutritionist, and she's done a lot of webinars for us. So that's one thing I would direct people if you're looking at your diet and you're not too sure exactly if you're on the right track. The webinars are posted to the Campus Rec Resource Library. One of them is it's kind of like a nutrition 101 almost, talking about breakfast and your mid-morning snack, lunch, dinner, those kinds of things, and importance of hydration and all that kind of stuff. So I think it answers a lot of questions that people have about nutrition. So I'd definitely direct people there. And then in terms of the diets, I think I read something not too long ago that said there's not one diet that works for more than 2% of the population. So intermittent fasting has been a big topic. Keto diet, paleo, all those kinds of things. I think unless you have a specific need, and that's where I would see a dietitian or a nutritionist about that, most of us should be consuming real food as routinely as possible. I know that's really hard for students to do. You might have an 8 o'clock class one day, the next day your class doesn't start till 7 at night. So it's hard to maintain some semblance of routine, but our bodies really do like that routine. So I know if my friend Sylvie was here chatting, she would say we should be starting our breakfast, or starting our morning with some breakfast, mid-morning snack, lunch, mid-afternoon snack, dinner, and then trying not to eat past 7. And it wasn't until she had spoken probably about, 5 or 6 years ago and said, that's where the word breakfast actually comes from, is breaking the fast from the night before. So, and then people that say, well, I'm not hungry in the morning. Well, did you eat something at midnight and then go to bed, and that hasn't processed yet, so you're waking up and you're not feeling hungry. Some people that say they can't stomach, can you try adding a glass of water with some lemon to kind of get your system going in the morning, and then adding a bite of a banana or whatever to kind of get your body going. And I know it's hard, but eating as routinely as we can in terms of times. People that don't eat until halfway through the day probably find, our bodies are smart. They're going to know that, hey, I missed out on 1,500 calories worth of food. I'm going to make up for that, even though it's 11 o'clock at night, I'm still hungry. And you probably are legitimately hungry. And another big piece I would caution or remind people of is hydrating and just having enough water. So really those 8 cups of water would be kind of where we're starting. And then if we're adding activity throughout there, if it's a hot, humid day and we're outside walking our dogs, we're going to be adding more water then too. So I think, definitely direct people to the Campus Rec Resource Library and the webinars that we've done with Sylvia. She was doing consulting through the health center pre-pandemic, so hopefully that's a service that's back in the future as well.
Cool. Yeah, water is definitely important. I know I have I know it's at least 8, but usually I venture a bit more. Is that a Yeti as well? I got my Yeti.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, they're great, obviously, for water. It's basically a thermos. Toss some ice in there. I've put ice in there and it's held for like 2 or 3 days. So
it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely invest in one of those for sure. And, always make sure you have a bottle of water around you. I have probably 5 different styles of bottles of water. So I have one in my office, a couple in my room. So everywhere I am, I'll see water and I'll know to take a drink. And that's a good piece of advice. I know when I started drinking water often, I was like, I just don't like water. Like, water's so bland. But putting lemon in there, putting I know somebody that puts I think it's some green, it's spinach or no, cucumber, that's what it is. But putting some sort of flavor in there to kind of make you want to drink it, because I can understand it does get a little plain.
Yeah, I cucumber I've done as well as the lemon for sure. Pepper, I love peppermint, so peppermint leaves in mine too. I like, so it kind of depends on what I'm in the mood for. Yesterday, actually, I just happened to be in line at the grocery store and I saw apple juice. I'm like, oh my gosh, it has been eons since I've had apple juice. So I bought apple juice. I filled my Yeti probably up to, I don't know, about here, and then put a splash of apple juice. It was just such a nice, refreshing change. So I know we shouldn't be drinking a whole lot of our calories, but if there was 20 calories from the juice that I put in there, then I think that would be kind of excessive. But it was just so nice for it to have a flavor, like you said. So it could be a watered down juice, and if you're used to drinking, a full on, 2 cups of juice, then yeah, it's going to take you a while. But add a little bit of water to that until you can kind of come to the other way. We're just adding a little bit of orange juice to your water, because yeah, I'm the same, where I get kind of, I shouldn't say bored of water, but yeah, it's nice to drink something that's got a flavor to it.
Now, you mentioned calories. Is there a certain amount or a certain number of calories that you should be hitting a day? Does it vary based on the person, or?
Yeah, it's going to be one of those gray area things that I told you about before, where it really will depend. Everybody's basal metabolic rate is going to be different. So the basal metabolic rate is how many calories does your body need just to survive. So for your hair to grow, your nails to grow, your respiration, your heart to beat, all those kinds of things will be different. How much energy you're expending. So if you're working out with your resistance bands every single day versus doing nothing, you're probably going to need more calories. And then it also depends on if you're looking to lose weight, then you're trying to make that not having more calories than you're expending, those kinds of things. So again, I know I keep referring to Sylvia when we come back to nutrition, but I know she doesn't count calories at all with any of her clients, and she never has. I think it's kind of more about eating that quality of food, being mindful of portion sizes, and that's kind of helpful. And I don't know a lot of people that actually count calories right now, but unless you're into what your macros and micros are, but I don't think eating should be that much work. And if we're eating kind of a balanced, healthy diet, then, and I know we probably are eating, for some of us, more vegetables than we want. And we'd rather have more of that pasta or more of that meat. But you do get used to it too. And like now I will find, like, if I love having a steak every once in a while, but if I go to the keg, I'm getting the smallest steak, and I'm like, I don't leave there feeling like, oh my gosh, I just want to roll out of here. Like, I feel good leaving. So I think it's just kind of what your body gets used to, and realizing that you're not going to make a change overnight. That change takes time. I think Sylvia has said it takes about 2 years to completely change your diet. So looking at those small incremental changes will make a big difference. So if you're not a water drinker, and that's your one goal from now until Christmas, I'm going to count how much water I drink, and I'm going to see if I can get that 8 cups. That's a great change. And if you can sustain that change, awesome. Let's add something else to that change.
And trying to stay away from those processed foods too, right? Obviously, it's so easy now. Everything's at our fingertips. We can just, hop on Uber Eats or skip the dishes and, order a Big Mac or whatever. And, maybe it's okay to treat yourself once in a while, but trying to focus on eating actual food, not processed.
For sure. And then it's funny that you use the word treat, because I would think about that. Whenever I hear that, it brings me back to when I was growing up, and my sister and I, we never had pop in the house. But I remember when we had if my parents were going out and we had a babysitter, we were allowed to have 1 can of something, and we popped some popcorn, and that was a treat, and we would and now I think, like, how many of us, I feel like McDonald's today, I'll go to McDonald's. What used to be kind of treat foods are now everyday foods. Even if you're a pop person, pop maybe used to be a treat. Ask your parents. They probably say, well, we never had pop in the house, or we did it only on special occasions. So I think what used to be a treat is now part of people's everyday fare.
Yeah, for sure. And, just jumping on the pop train, probably the worst thing about pop is the amount of sugar in there. So, I don't really know how much is in a can of Pepsi, but it's a massive amount. But what if you wanted that flavor? What if you wanted that fizz, but without the sugar? They do offer a Coke Zero or a Pepsi Max. Are those okay to have?
Again, I feel like I'm getting into Sylvia's territory here, but I would go, if you're going to have a pop, I would, do you enjoy carbonated water? I know I'll buy San Pellegrino, and San Pellegrino now also has some, and not just toting San Pellegrino, other others might have it too, but they have like a tangerine one. So I get that flavor and that fizz, but without it's still got more sugar, but that's kind of my little treat. The smaller cans now that you can buy, I would opt for the full, like the main, if it's Coke or Pepsi, then I would go for that, versus, again, we're getting back into that, what are all the chemicals in there? There can't be a Coke that has 0 calories in it. So what are the other things, and can our body assimilate them? What is our body doing with them? You will process that, the sugar in that Coke, but can we process all the other things that are in that chemical filled, in that chemical filled 0 calorie, whatever it is? So I'd be opting for, kind of more of the in its natural state. Even can we say natural about Pepsi and Coke? I'm not
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Now going back to the workout, kind of touching again on the water. I know before, or there are water stations at the gym. Are those still able to be used when someone's working out?
For sure, yeah. So if you have specifics about you're not sure, what's open, what isn't open, what equipment's available, are the change rooms open, what about the water fountains? All that stuff is online as well. So people don't forget what we're talking about right now. Then feel free to go there. But yeah, the water filling stations are open. Just the water fountains aren't open. So you would need to bring some kind of container that you could get your own water. But for sure, the water filling stations are open for sure.
In a general time, and I know this probably doesn't make much of a difference, but pre-COVID, post-COVID, when there's a water station, would you rather or would you recommend carrying water around or taking breaks in your workout to go to the water station? I know some people in between reps, they'll take a sip from the water. Some people like to wait, a few exercises in, then go for water.
I think it's whatever works for you. I wouldn't ever want to deny my body water. If I'm thirsty, I should be having a drink. And then if you're, on the track and you did bring water and you have to come down here to get it, is that the most effective use of your time? Like, I don't know. I think that's probably personal preference. But I think if your body's telling you it's thirsty or you're feeling like you need a drink of water, I would always opt for that.
So we'll end it on this. What would you say is your favorite workout exercise, whether it's an activity or an actual, thing to do in the gym? What would you say is your favorite?
So in the gym, I would have to say I'm a spin instructor. So for me, like teaching an indoor cycling class, I love it. I'm really missing doing that right now. I do have a spin bike, but I haven't been using it right now since my shoulder. That's my goal actually this weekend, to see if I can sustain having my arm up on the handlebars. But because we talked about music, I'm a big group fitness person. I love working out with other people. So I miss the students that were in my classes. I did varsity spin classes, so with lots of varsity athletes. So that for me I love it because of the music and the energy. I would say too, kind of during COVID, I think we can probably all attest to that there's some kind of little gifts in there for sure. So my sister and I lived less than a kilometer apart. So if we both had a morning where we didn't have a meeting maybe till 9, then we would go for a walk, especially when it was nice. And it was really lovely to spend that time with her. We were a distance when we had to be. Then once we could, add them to my bubble, then we did. And so that for sure was really nice too. And I think I really appreciated, I think I really noticed the trees budding and blossoming for not the first time, but I just appreciated it a lot more as the flowers started to come up, really noticing that. So noticing the different birds that were in our area, all the bunnies that were around. I think for me, that was a really great, walking during the pandemic, especially when the weather was a bit nicer, was probably a go-to for me as well. And then I'm a horseback rider, or was a horseback rider. So once we were able to get back to the barn too, then I really enjoyed that as well. So so I think for me, those were kind of my three kind of go-tos would be, once pandemic is over and we're back to teaching spin classes, I'll be elated with that. And then, just something as simple as walking, and then also that time with nature, and then horses too would be my three go-tos, I think.
There you go. You get an activity. For me, I like doing chess. So I like the flies. I like the traditional flies. I also enjoy a bike. I don't even know if I would be good in a spin cycle session. I'm not sure if I would be up for the intensity. I just like my casual riding around on a bike.
You know what, though, not to interrupt you, but just to not leave that note untouched. Lots of people think that spin has to be this absolutely incredibly intense workout. It absolutely can be, but you're always in control of your bike. So if we're standing and you want to sit, then you sit. If we increase resistance, you need to decrease it. You do that. You build up, and nobody knows what you're doing. So if you're in a group fitness class and they say, okay, great, I'm left, and you're going right, you're like, oh my God, you're running into somebody. There's none of that. It really is your own workout in a group. So if anybody has always wanted to try a class, we don't have any right now, but hopefully we'll have those back up and running at some point in the new year. But give it a shot, because you never know until you've tried it, and you might actually say, oh my gosh, I actually love this. Yeah,
that's a good call. I guess that, that just proves, make sure that you get out there and try everything at least once. I would say maybe my one activity, you have horseback riding. I played volleyball, basketball, and soccer growing up as a kid. So one of those, a great endurance, obviously comes from basketball, running up and down the court. So one of those would definitely be in my upper echelon of activities to do at the gym. Thanks, Brett, for joining us. If you have any workout exercises that you'd like to tell us are your favorite, feel free to hop in. Brett loves a chest as well.
Yeah, well, chest is every guy's favorite.
Yeah.
Monday is International Chest Day.
There you go. Yeah.
My favorite activities, love playing sports. I actually train in the gym so much so I can still, used to, obviously we can't really do that right now, but I would play men's league hockey once a week. And I always, I'm in my mid 40s now. So I want to keep up to those 20-something-year-old guys.
You're not competitive, are you, Brett?
Pardon me? You're
not competitive, are you?
What, hockey? Oh, me, friendly competitive. I'm friendly competitive.
Okay.
But for workouts, since COVID-19 happened, I'm a gym guy. I've been a gym rat since I was 19 years old. So I've been kind of lost without the gym.
Yeah.
And so I've had to restructure what I do. I recently got back into running. Took me a little while to really become more athletic at it, but it's coming along. My season's coming to a close at the end of the month because I'm not a cold weather runner, but I've gotten back into running 8K, 10K.
Nice.
Really enjoying because I wasn't much of a street runner before either because running's so punishing on the body.
Yeah.
But I don't do it every single day. Running's a sport just like anything else. But I work out in my basement with kettlebells. I got a barbell, some weights. So I'm missing the gym still, but I've had to evolve and adapt like everybody else. And I've had to really teach myself to enjoy working out at home. But this is great. Like when I get to go back to the gym, the days that I won't have time to go to the gym, I'll be able to do it in my basement.
Yeah. It's that adapting and, just the adversity to continue pushing through. Obviously the gym is something that you enjoy doing. For those people that haven't gone to the gym or just unsure if they want to go, having that perseverance and, being able to push through, like Brett just kind of explained, even if you're not going to the gym, you're going to learn how to do exercises at home. And then eventually you will be able to go to the gym, whether you open up to it or, the gym expands in sizes and numbers. Then you'll be able to work out in multiple locations. So I think that's super important. Angie, thanks for joining us. Is there anything else that you wanted to promo or talk about in regards to Campus Rec and the Flex Center?
No, I will send that information to you, Tobias, so that you have it about, the Campus Rec resource library, the webinars that I was talking about that you can find there, the virtual fitness classes that we have. We're actually live streaming a class this Friday at noon, so it's Pilates class. So I'll send you the information on that as well. It's also on our social media, so I think it went up there today. So yeah, just kind of stay connected with us. We're really here to engage with students, and we would love to see you here. I know, as Brett mentioned, they're adding kind of a CRWC spot to the newsletter, so that's awesome to hear. And yeah, we're here, and kind of looping back to when we talked about our staff and myself really being customer service focused. So we really are here to help you, so really invite you to try our space out when you're comfortable doing so. And yeah, any questions, anything that you think that to see if we can add, then we'll reach out to us, because we'll try to again be adaptable and as flexible as we can as well.
Cool. So I'm Tobias Barkley. I'm your Residence Life Coordinator, joined by Angie Wood, the Fitness Coordinator for the Flex Center. Angie, thanks again for joining us. And obviously, if anybody has any questions, feel free to shoot us a message, send us an email, and we can make sure to put you in contact with Angie and the fine folks over at the Flex Center.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Angie.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye.